Hello everyone. Have you ever had your MySQL database crash? And have you ever lost all of your data? Have you ever wondered how to back up your MySQL database? If so, you're in the right place. In this video, I'll be showing you how to use the MySQLdump tool to create backups for your MySQL database. Now, what is the MySQLdump? MySQLdump is the name of the tool. It is a command line tool that is used to back up your MySQL database tables. It generates SQL statements that can be used to recreate databases or tables. The users can choose between backing up table structures, data, or even both. Now, it's important to note that the MySQLdump is a logical backup. So what do you mean by a logical backup? A logical backup that is consisting of create table statements of logical database structures. Now, the logical backups are performed with the MySQL server running, so it's important to ensure that your server is not offline. And so you need to go to your task manager under services, type in MySQL, and then ensure that your SQL server is running. And then inside the workbench, I'd recommend you to go under the service status, and then ensure again that your server is running in order for your MySQLdump tool to work. Now, next we will talk about the MySQLdump syntax. Now here, don't freak out. We'll be breaking this into chunks. We know this looks hectic, but then the syntax is very simple. So we start here. It's for all the syntax. You're going to be typing in 2 dashes user and then your username, and then space, and then 2 dashes password, and then your password. Then dash result file, and then data structure options, database options, table options, row options, and we are going to be discussing that in a moment. But before we do so, we need to know how to use the command prompt with the MySQL database. So you will be able to we'll be teaching you now how to use the command line with the MySQL workbench. And so in step 1, we need you to navigate to the bin folder. And so to navigate to the bin folder, go to your C drive and then go to program files, you then go to MySQL, and then within MySQL, go to the MySQL server, and then go to the bin file. Now in your command line, open your command line prompt, and then type in this command cd, and then the path. So this path here of the bin folder of your MySQL server. Afterwards, after you have entered into the bin folder in the command prompt, we'll need you to type in the MySQL login command. The MySQL login command looks like this. So MySQL-u, and then your username, and then /p. So this will enable you to enter into the MySQL workbench. After typing this in, you'll be prompted to enter. You'll be asked to enter the password. So as we can see in this, here, we type in the username. So my username is root yt, and then -p. We are prompted to enter the password. Enter the password. And as you can see, we have entered into the workbench. Now, here in the MySQL command prompt workbench, we're able to perform the normal database operations. So show databases in the server. So we have these databases available inside the server. Let's now do another command of using the practice database. So let's use here practice database. Then don't forget the semicolon. As you can see, the database change show tables. And then here the semicolon of showing all the tables in the practice database. Let's now select star from customers table. So we select from the customers table, and then don't forget the semicolon. And that is here my customers table. So as you can see, we have selected star. So we are going to be coming back to the MySQL login command, but for now we are going to be exiting the workbench. So a simple command of exiting the workbench is the /q. With the /q, you can exit the workbench, and as you can see, you're prompted with a by text. It's important to remember that the MySQLdump commands are executed outside the workbench, outside the DB environment. MySQLdump commands, all these backup commands are executed outside. What do we mean by that? That's what we mean. So MySQLdump commands are going to be executed directly inside the bin folder. But then you're not going to be typing MySQLdump commands inside the workbench. That's incorrect. So here inside the command prompt workbench, or the UI of the MySQL workbench, so all MySQLdump commands are typed in the command prompt, CMD. So we're back at the MySQLdump syntax. Now we're going to be discussing the database options syntax. Now within the database options, you're having the option of all databases. So it says all databases will be backing up all tables in all databases within the available in your scope. And then you're having another option where /databases, and then you type in here the name of your database, and then another database. So here, and then separated by space. So here you're specifying a list of databases. And notice the syntax here, we're talking about plural. So that is here an S. Notice the syntax, not database, it's with an S and double dashes. And so these database options are going to be typed in, thus replacing this green highlighted text. So we have here this question. This question is asking us to write MySQL command to back up the database available that is called practice, and then save it in a file that is practice _ database. And so you're going to be under the bin folder, inside the bin folder, you're going to be typing MySQLdump, and then a dash, 2 dashes, then root user, and then going to be typing 2 dashes again. Well, the password is equal to my password is root. You'll be typing in your password, of course, or T, and then you're going to be typing in your -- result file. In my file, I'll be saving it in the D, MySQL. Now MySQL is only responsible for creating you files. It's not responsible for creating you folders, so ensure that the folder does exist in somewhere within the D directory. And then we're going to be naming this practice _ backup.sql. You're as well able to name it .txt as long as it's some textual file. And then databases, just notice here the S syntax is a plural, -- practice databases, and then practice, then hit enter, and as you can see, it has been saved. If you navigate to your file explorer, you can see a new file called the practice _ backup has been saved, has been created. And if you open your notepad, you're able here to see the entire backup practice database have been dumped into this folder, into this file. So we have here just another question where to write a MySQL command to backup two databases available, the practice database and then the world database, and then save them in the practice _ world _ backup.sql. And so that's how we'll be performing this. So MySQL dump and then //2 so //user _yt and then / password. You type in here your password again. So then you have your / result file. We're going to be showing you here a shortcut for the result file argument, but then for now let's stick to the result file. So you have the D, you'll have your file name. So it's important to note that the MySQL dump tool is not responsible for creating you folders. It's only responsible for creating you a new file. So if you don't have this folder existing, then there will be an error. So we now continue the practice _ world _ backup.sql, and then /databases. So just don't forget the S here. That's always my mistake. Practice. So we'll get here practice and then world. And if we hit enter, notice the spaces. Hit enter, and we do have an error. The error is that we have misspelled the practice. Let's go. Let's type. All right, we have misspelled practice. So let's fix that spelling mistake and practice world. And yes, if you now go back, that you can see, go to your file explorer, and as you can see that the practice world database have been saved in a text file, in an SQL text file. And the dump is completed, so you have the dump time here, and then the dump date, and you have the practice database. And so create database statements if exists. Now let's go to, so we'll be talking about these in a moment, log tables, create table if exists. We'll be explaining this in a moment now. But then let's now move on. So write MySQL command to back up all databases in a file called all.sql. And so that is your command. So your command will end up with like -- all databases. But here there is a syntax error. The syntax error because all arguments are preceded by double dashes. But this is here the type of syntax you'll be getting. I think so. Ensure that all of your arguments are preceded by double dashes. So / all databases, and this command will back up all the databases. Moving on to the data structure options. Now here we have the data structure options, and that is an important. These are important aspects of the backups. So you're having two options: no data, and then -- no create info. And so with the no data, this is going to be backing up the table structure. So create table statements, create database statements. So that is the no data. But then with the no create info, this will be backing up only the data structure, only the data content, only the data content, only insert statements. Now, if you don't mention either of both, so if you don't mention no data and then no create info, if you don't mention them, then your backup will be including both the table structure, create table statements, as well as insert statements. Now we go to this question: state the function of the no data in the MySQL backup. So the no data in the no data argument is going to be generating a dump file that is containing create database and create table statements. Okay, now let's go to question 2. State the function of no create info. And so no create info only has insert statements and no create table statements. So this will be excluding creation of table structures. Now let's move on with the table options. So you're either having database options or the table options. So you decide what type of backup you're doing. So within the table options, you'll type in your database name and then the table name. This will be backing up a specific table in your database. If you want multiple tables, then your database name, and then your table name, then table name 2, separated by a space. There's no commas in here. Notice in the MySQL dump syntax. We have this question is to write a MySQL command to backup instructors table in the practice database without data, only the table structure. So with only table structure, we know that we know, so it'll be -- no data, and that's how it's done. So as you can see, we are in the workbench. So you'll quit the workbench, and then you'll clear your CMD with the CLS command, and then type in the MySQL syntax here. And again, you should memorize the syntax just like your name. Now //root, and then / password is equal to root _yt, and then your result file here will be teaching you a shortcut, and this shortcut is the greater than sign instead of typing in the result file argument. So I'll be typing greater than sign, and then within quotations the path to your backup file, the file in which you want to back up. That is instructors table. Then we dot structure, so only backing up the structure. So I'll rename this quickly to structures only. And then because it is data only, so it is no data, no /data. It is // no, just don't mess up the syntax. Then that is going to be in the practice. So instructors table is inside the practice database. So practice, and just here that is practice instructors table. And then hit enter, and we do have a typo in here, so we are missing a space. But then notice with the table options, we don't require double slashes. Then go to the instructors, and as you can see, it has been saved. That is here, no data, and that is only your table structure, no data, no insert statements. Now let's move on into this another question. Write a MySQL command to back up the content of the instructor. So the content only, so it will be no create info, so content only of the instructors and subjects table in the practice database, and that is here the file. So that is, so no create info in the data structure options, and then practice instructors, and then subjects. So that is your database name, and then instructors, and then subject. Now we can alternatively, as we have discussed earlier, to use the greater than sign. The greater than sign, it can be used instead of the result file argument. Now the greater than sign is going to be creating a new file. But then if you want to append to a file, then you're going to be using double greater than signs. So double GT signs. Alright, so this will allow you to append to an existing file. This file must be existing. We have this question to back up all the structure. So back up the structure only. So that is here some grammatical mistakes. So back up the structure only of the database practice. So the structure only, we know that the structure only, then no data is involved. So no data is involved, so we'll have the no data argument. Then the database practice, so slash databases, and then just here, be careful about the syntax that the databases here, then s, as no data practice database. Alright, continuing. Now we go to the row options. Now the row options is that we have double slashes with a where, and then you specify the condition in double quotations. So this will be backing up specific rows of a particular table. So it will only dump the rows of a particular table that meet the condition in the where clause. And so there is a special case for the where clause. In that special case is that the where clause only includes columns from a single table. So if you're backing up two tables in your and so there is here a special case in the where clause. Now, when you specify the where clause, ensure that within your syntax of the MySQL dump, you only have one table mentioned. If you're having two tables mentioned and then with a where argument, then this will generate you errors because the where argument can only hold the columns inside the table, inside one table in your SQL syntax. This is because the logical backups are done by querying the tables. So you can't do this. You can't select start from instructors where the gender is equal, but then the pets. So pets here is not the column inside instructors. So this here clearly makes no sense. So ensure that in your where clause you're only mentioning one column, sorry. And then following this, we're going to be having a question, back up the instructors table from the practice database along with the table structure. So you require here both table structure and the content, where the salary of the instructor is greater than 10k. Save it in the file, instructor is 10k. Let's see how this is done. So MySQLdump, this makes sense. We're using here the shortcut, and then practice instructors. So practice is the name of the database. Notice there's no double dashes preceded by the practice database, and then you'll mention the table name. As mentioned earlier, you can't have two tables in here. And then dash where condition, where quotations, salary is greater than 10k. But then if you want to have another condition, if you want to back up another table, then it is worth doing an append. So it is worth having an append where you're having two dashes, so two greater than signs. Syntax, notice the quotations. All right, now we have the other options. Now the other options is interesting because it will be enabling you. So this by default, the opt option, which stands for optimization, will be enabling add drop tables, add locks, create info, create options, disable keys, extended inserts, which we are going to be discussing each one individually in a moment now. So to disable the optimization option, you're going to be using the skip opt. So this command will allow you to disable the optimization option. If you disable the optimization option, then you're going to be disabling all of these features. So we're going to be explaining what each feature is in a moment now. And so here you're going to be disabling the optimization option. So you want to disable the optimization option. That's how you disable the optimization option. Skip opt. So now within the opt options, you're having the first option, which is / add drop databases. And so / add drop databases is going to be adding you drop table statements for each create table statement. So notice here in this file, we're having drop table if exists. So we're having this drop table statement, and these drop table statements are achieved by having this here add drop databases. Notice database. Notice here it's not plural, it's singular. Now we're having here the opt optimization. The other options we're having / add locks. So this will be here adding locks and unlocks before the insert statements. And so why is it necessary to lock the tables during the backup? Locking the tables during the backup is necessary to ensure the consistency and integrity of the data. So when backing up is when the backup is being performed, the database is potentially in an active state. It with is in an active state, which is going to be with ongoing read and write operations. Without table locks, the backup process may encounter inconsistencies or partial data writes if changes are made to the tables during the backups. So you're having, with locking the tables during the backup, during the inserts. Okay, repeat. New one. 3, 2, 1. And so here we have another optimization option that is add locks. Add locks is going to be adding table locks and unlocks before the insert statements. And so why is it necessary to be locking the tables during insert? So locking the tables during the insert is necessary to ensure the consistency and integrity of the data. That is how you add locks and unlocks while inserting into the table with the add locks option. Now we have the create option. So the create options is going to be including the core set and then engine options. If you want to disable this, so if you want to exclude this statement here, you'll do skip create options. Now what is the core set? What is the engine? Now the core set here determines how the data in the tables is encoded. So that is here UTF-8 and B4, how the data is encoded. And then the engine here, the engine determines how the data in the table is stored and managed. And so we're having this here engine that is being used. And that is the most common engine used for majority of applications actually. If you want to exclude the statement, skip script, create options. Now we have this here. Disable keys option within the optimization is going to be disabling index updating during the data load. If you want to enable index updating during data load, then you'll do the opposite, skip / skip disable keys. Now disabling index update can speed up the data load process, especially if you're loading large amounts of data. So enabling the index update can ensure, if you enable index update, it can ensure that the indexes are always up to date. This can improve performance of queries in this can improve the performance of queries that use indexes. However, enabling index update can slow down the data load process. Now, the general rule of thumb states if you're loading large amounts of data and speed is your priority, then you'll be disabling index updating. However, if you're loading small amounts of data, and you need to ensure that the indexes are always up to date, then you should enable index update. Now we do have here extended inserts. Extended inserts is going to be creating you single create insert statements for all the rows. Instead of having multiple insert statements for each row, you're having a single insert for all rows. If you want to have multiple, then you'll do the opposite, of course. Now you have your lock tables, and then you have skip lock tables. This will be locking the tables in the database during the dump process. All the tables, so by locking all the tables in the database during the dump process, it guarantees you that the result of the dump is a coherent snapshot, maintaining the data consistency throughout the backing up process. So lock tables / lock tables. If you want to unlock tables during the backing up process, you'll do skip lock tables. Now here we have a quick option. Now the quick option will be disabling buffer tables in the memory before writing to the file. Now this option is going to be it's going to be asking the MySQLdump to avoid buffering tables in the memory prior to writing them into the file. By using this option, the speed of the dump of large tables is going to be enhanced. So you're having a higher speed of dumping up large tables. If you want to enable buffer tables in memory, then you'll do the opposite. So skip a quick. We do have here replace. Now, what is the function of replace? This tells MySQL command to replace rows in the database with data. So this will ask MySQL to replace existing rows in the database with the data that is being dumped. This can be useful if you want to update the data in your database without having to delete or recreate tables. And so I recommend you going deep into replace, because with replace, we're able to update tables through the backups. And so now here we have to disable the functionality, you'll be using skip the opt option. If you wish to exclude a specific option individually, then skip your option. All right. So for instance, all right. So for example, if you want to disable keys option, then you're going to be using skip keys. We know that. All right. Now, what is here? We have a question. So what is the argument in the other options to keep the opt, but then create multiple insert statements? So to keep the opt on, opt is always on by default. But then if you want to create multiple insert statements, then you'll be doing the opposite of extended inserts, and that is skip inserts. Write a command to back up all the databases, data, and structure, and make sure to enable index update during the data load. So in order for you to enable index updating, you'll be skipping disable keys. So how to make your backup file approximately 20% smaller. So this statistic I just got randomly from Google. It's not accurate, it's not reliable. But then if you are having a limited disk space, if you want to transfer the dump file over a slow connection, what to use, it's to make it more compact. So the keyword here is to make it more compact. It removes unnecessary. So with the compact option, you're able to remove unnecessary white space from the dump file, and new lines, comments. But then it's important that with the compact option, it makes your dump file difficult to read. If you need to be able to easily read the dump file, then you may want to avoid using the compact option. Now, here with the compact option, you're disabling. The compact option is disabling some of the default options. So it's going to be excluding lock table statements before inserts. It's going to be excluding drop table statements before creating the table. It will be excluding the mention of course set, and then character and engine options, and so on. This will be excluding comments as well. So here you have this argument / compact, and / compact is going to be here enabling you these options. So again, it will enable these options. / skip, as we have discussed earlier, this is going to be doing the opposite of adding drop. So here it is add drop database, by the way, so that is a typo. Now continue. So how do you create a backup that is compact but then keep comments on? So if you want to keep comments on, then you'll be using the argument / compact and then / comments. Now, as we have promised, we'll be coming back to the MySQL logging command, and in the MySQL logging command, you need to be able to restore the databases, table, or data. And so restoring is a piece of cake. Well, you would be logging into your MySQL workbench within your command prompt, or even within your workbench, so you're able as well to back it up through your workbench UI interface. You'll be typing the keyword source and then the path of the MySQL file, and notice we're not having quotations. So that is here how it is performed. So MySQL, you'll here enter into your workbench, enter the password, and then show databases. Let's see what databases we have. We have the practice database. Let's drop the practice database, the entire practice database. Drop practice. Oh, error. All right, let's fix that error. Drop databases, and then practice. Practice, we have dropped the practice database. Let's see if it has been successfully dropped. Yes, no practice database is available. So we will, let's now restore the practice database. So you'll type in the source keyword, so the source, and then you'll type in the path of your backup. So your backup file, and then you hit enter, and as you can see, we're having all of these query OKs. Show databases, practice database is back available. Let's exit now the workbench, and that is the end. So there you have it. That's how you'll be using MySQLdump to back up your MySQL database. Now you can go forth and create your own backups, and goodbye.